Hi, guys, and welcome back. Today, I wanted to talk about something that I have seen a couple of videos come across my YouTube stream, and it really took me aback. I had to read this a couple of different times to find out what exactly is going on. And then I went to my normal sources and the places that I go to see what's true, what's not true, what do I make of this. And anyways, the sources for this or the videos on this are supposedly Chris Watts wants to have another child in prison. Now, doesn't that sound like one of those videos or one of those magazines that you would see where aliens have abducted you and they have the president in their alien ship and all that kind of stuff? However, there does seem to be some sort of a little bit of truth tempered through this from what we've uncovered. In a couple of days, there is going to be a stream on the Armchair Detective. He has a real great stream that he does. He is English, and I just love the way he speaks. He just has a kind of a good personality. So he's going to be the one, I guess, that's uncovering this and giving the sources. And I'm just kind of following along, trying to find places to read and verify these two. But from what it seems, now there's a girl, her name is Anna. And Anna is somebody who is on the visitors list in Dodge Prison in Wisconsin to visit Mr. Christopher Lee Watts. She is 33 years old. I believe she either was or still is. I'm hearing that she was married and they were people who would go around missionizing to people who were in prison. So I would assume that that's probably how he met her. But she has been somebody who has been very supportive of Chris in the past. And, if you're supportive of Chris in any way, shape, or form, sadly, you're going to become. And this is, I know that a lot of people may not like this. This is just how I feel. If you are a supportive, you are becoming a groupie. You're becoming, crazy. You shouldn't be trusted and yada, yada. Well, in this instance, what they're trying to say is that these are the people, Chris Watts and her, who want to have the baby. That's the story. I don't know about how much of that is true. It just sounds so sensational. I did look up if you could have a child in prison, what states allow conjugal visits. I will tell you the states that allow conjugal visits are right now are California, Connecticut, New York, Washington, New Mexico, and to be eligible, you can only be medium or lesser security prison. So, with that, it would be just something I could see definitely. I have limited knowledge on this, but from what I'm watching in all these shows, I always love true crime. So whenever I watch these, I could see after you're there a while, you do build up enough credits to where you are trusted, and that I could see Chris doing that because doesn't seem to be at all somebody who's going to want to not toe the line and get in trouble or anything like that. So I could see him, if he has the ability to move up at some time to a different security prison. Now, maybe I'm completely wrong. I don't know. However, he's not in one of those states. He could, however, put in for a transfer to one of those states. That's when, if you have a very good lawyer who could put up a very good case as to why you should be moved there. Like if you have if you have children there, if you have a lot of family there, if you're very unsafe where you're at now. Perhaps one of those just happened to be safer that you're going to. There's many many excuses that a really good lawyer could think up to have that happen. Whether or not you get it, that's another thing, but there's plenty of time to work up to all of this. And also, what is something that is an option too that I was looking up is, do prisoners have the constitutional right to procreate via FedEx? So basically, artificial insemination be sent out via FedEx, right? It says right now that the United States court has ruled that prisoners can send their semen and artificially inseminate their wives. So I don't know all the rules on that. I do know that it had to make its way up to the Supreme Court. I'm going to be reading a lot more in this because there's a lot of papers to read and a lot of places to go through. But, you know, if you are in the right state, if you are married, if you get to the right, you know, security clearance, let's say you've been in there for 10 years and they finally moved you down to medium security and you met somebody on the outside. Let's say he met this Anna and they, you know, she's divorced and they get married and they've been doing the right thing by being prison missionaries for these 10 years. He gets himself lowered to having just a medium security. Then they happened, a lot of things could happen. It'd be a lot of things, but that is something that could actually happen because it was deemed unconstitutional to take that right to procreate from him. And that went as far as the Supreme Court. So I don't know if that's true or anything like that. I'd like to know what you guys think about this. I could imagine the floodgates opening up and to what you think. I can imagine both sides right now of the people saying he had his chance. Why should he be given another chance at happiness when Shanann didn't get that chance and those baby girls didn't get that chance? Let me just ask you, play devil's advocate. What if at one point he has the series of mental checkups that he never had, and we could finally figure out, we finally get the truth and we finally figure out what's wrong? What exactly is wrong? Now, when people lie about, not lie, when people have said this tumor thing and people have kind of laughed it off, it's something that's not as completely uncommon as you think. When I was going through my divorce with my husband last year, his behavior just went a total 180 from what he was. And I had got the story from a friend of mine has a friend who their family went through exactly the same situation because he ended up doing things and saying things, and wasn't like dementia, it wasn't like anything. It just, the particular place on his brain, I guess, where it was affected, you know, it affected him like this. And come to find out that was the reason why that he was doing all this, and they took care of it and he was back to normal. Let's just play devil's advocate and say that was the case. Say they found a tumor and say they fixed that tumor. So technically, that would no longer be inside of him. Doesn't that bring up another whole set of, you wonder? Because what if this was an illness? What if this was an illness that he truly couldn't control? And I am only playing devil's advocate because I think that I'm never engaged when I'm preaching to the choir. I like to think, and I don't want to have people take things personally. I really don't. So if any of this triggers you, I can mark above the videos trigger warning, because I don't want that to happen to anybody, because that's not, life is too short for that. I'm not trying to. But there's so many what ifs. And I think that's another reason why we're so fascinated with this case. They didn't give us enough. And yet, they gave us so much. Isn't that funny? It went so fast we got so much information like it did. I heard somebody else say you felt like you were invading their privacy totally to be able to see what Shanann had in her drawers at her nightstand. I felt that I shouldn't be looking. I did truly look away. I felt I did look away. But then again, there's so many more answers that the police didn't give us because it's like they just had their guy. I really don't think that the police did, oh, that good of a job. I think that they were so happy. I don't think it was a poor job. I think that this is a one-of thing. They're never going to get a case like this again. I'm probably in my lifetime never going to see a case like this again. I know it. The whole thing has been just odd. Sitting in there and watching him, and basically his dad got the confession out of him. And I could just sit there and look at him, and I don't get that feeling of demon from him. I don't get that feeling of demon from him. It's just I would like to have that side of the conversation opened so professionals could come in and talk to people, you know, even just online in groups and what have you, and answer some of our questions so we don't just have to hide those feelings inside of us. Like I heard somebody earlier say that they have a couple of daughters, and the daughters tend to kind of like, you know, they're the stronger ones to overtalk the husbands who are more meek. And when I heard that, I'm like, wow, God, that's so great that somebody else is thinking that. Because to me, I'm thinking like, did I say too much ever? Was I ever too? And really, I can look at myself and go, you know, I want to say it's because you wouldn't say anything. You wouldn't say anything. You frustrated me. You just wouldn't step up to the plate and be the man. So I had to do it. And you frustrated me. And all I really wanted was to be able to have some communication with you, but you just wouldn't talk. You wouldn't talk. And these are the extreme cases. But that's, I really can understand that part, because that's how I felt at so many times. I had a husband who completely held things in, and I truly didn't know, for as much as I think I know about so much. And when he said at one time, my husband was talking to a friend of mine, and I was there, that, you know, I'm a good girl. And that, yeah, she was literally on her knees trying to get the answer. It was pleading the whole time of whenever I was saying anything. It's like, talk to me. And I couldn't get in, and I asked it the wrong way. We didn't get any counseling. We didn't get any help. We never got any of that kind of stuff. And so to me, that will always be a tragedy, because we never at least tried it one way of knowing how to speak to each other. Because I really didn't know. I didn't know that when I would start being more on this, you know, pushy side, from being frustrated from lack of communication, he would pull back even more, making it even worse. And it went worse back and forth. And we were our own worst enemies. And we were two people who probably loved each other. And you would probably have God looking down on us and saying, you couple, please, you got married under my altars. Please come and search out a rabbi to get you some help. But we didn't do it. We didn't do it. But that's my story. With this, what if they would have gotten help? She tried to get the book. But then again, he had by that time, he had Nicole Kessinger, who was letting him be the man, letting him be, and that wouldn't have lasted. When you have a man who is seemingly used to being around stronger women, it has to be slowly and through counseling that he builds that up inside of him. because nobody wants to emasculate somebody, and knowing that you had that way over somebody. No one does. It would have to be counseling to be able to get that back and find different ways to do that. But what if they would have had counseling? What if it would have changed? And I see the text, or not the text, the Bible verse that he put out regarding Nicole Kessinger, and that she was basically the harlot in the night who came in like a snake, like a vulture, and no man could resist her, and she was under the spell. I want to get that one out and read that next time, because I really see what he's trying to say, and I don't think it's passing judgment. I think by that time for him, it may have just been too late. It was the domino effect of everything. I think he knew he gave everything away. I think he knew he hated himself for who have given everything away. But he liked so much the feeling of feeling like a man finally, that he couldn't turn back any longer. And then after he let it go for so long, because this young man was brought up with morals, was brought up with the church, and he already doesn't like confrontation. He already knows about how Shanann locked him out of the house before. How was he ever going to tell her? A person who doesn't like confrontation, a person who doesn't like any of that in the first place, how do you tell them? So yeah, the stupidest, the worst. What else can we say about the act that he did? He felt cornered somehow. Tragedy. If any other along the lines, if things would have just, like he even mentions something about that night that he was going to go to the game. If it would have gone a different way, it could have been stopped. There's more that I want to talk about, like that night. What is he talking about that night? Do you think he killed the children then? There's a lot. I'm writing bullet points down, so when I come back on, we'll have a series of things. I want to bring people on panel. I want to talk to you guys. If you would like to talk, and if you'd like me to get Zoom and have you guys call in, please let me know. Please pass this around any room that you're in. Ask if it's okay if you pass it around. If you go to any groups, please pass this around, because I'm going to be doing this daily. This is riveting to me. I think we're on the verge of getting a lot of really good answers, and I think it could help a lot of people in their lives. Truly. The part that gets me right now really is a part of this man who didn't feel that he could talk. And I really don't think a lot of the people out there are seeing Monster. I think you know that you're supposed to say that, because it is. It is such a horrible, it's horrible. But I believe you know that it's something different. Even the cops said there's something different. It was the perfect storm. Maybe this is something biblical, guys. Maybe this is something from God, and it's going to be a new verse in the Bible of how we should learn. Oh gosh, think of that. I just got goosebumps thinking about that, guys. What if this is something anew? Because that's what it would be, because of how feminism has emasculated so many men. This is my opinion. And roles are reversed, and things are not as really God intended. Men to be the leader of the home. What if this is intended to be the tragic story, parable in the new yet unwritten chapters of the Bible? I know I'm getting way out there, guys, but my head is open to anything. I'm not stupid, and I'm going to go along and close it and just go with that, but I want to hear everything, because none of this stuff still makes sense to me. And I want to always leave this. I prayed on this. I want to leave these broadcasts, these videos that I do, And I don't have the prayer this time, but it's going to be for a prayer in Hebrew that I will do for healing on people, especially the Watts family, because I truly feel strongly towards the Watts family, as you can see. And it goes without even mentioning that it completely goes for the family of Shanann as well. It completely does. But I want the Watts to at least know from some certain groups because they watch YouTube a lot, certain groups. I don't even want them to acknowledge me. Please don't acknowledge me. Don't, it's not done for anything like that. It's just done. I'm Jewish. We do these things, they're called mitzvahs, and it gets you a little bit higher in God's grace. And I want you, this one really entered my head is it's a mitzvah, because how I believe that you've been treated, how I would feel you waking up in the morning and you are stifled by what you can say, and your reality every single day doesn't change, and you love your son, and you love your brother, and you love your uncle, and you love your friend, and that's okay. And it doesn't have to be a but at the end of that. That just means that you're a good person. You love him, period. And God loves him, period. And that's okay. With that, I'm going to leave it. I know we talked a lot about Anna in here. If you guys know anything more about that story, I will link Armchair Detective, because he's the person who's going to be bringing on more of the exclusive breaking news on it in a couple of days regarding his source about it. Apparently, Anna comes to see him quite often in prison in Wisconsin, and they are on the phone all the time, and they do sing religious songs to each other. Now, Anna, if you don't know about her, I will also link below this when I can, probably tomorrow, because I'm getting really tired right now. But there is video of her out there of when she was it was a local story about something different. She was in a really bad car accident from texting and driving, I believe it was. And I believe she's in a wheelchair right now because her legs got pretty messed up. But she also has been in a documentary on Chris, really defending. And listen, if she's out there saying anything evil about the Rucheks or anybody else from that side, I'm totally going to stand up and speak my piece for the Rucheks, who are just a wonderful, wonderful group of God-fearing, loving people who raised wonderful, secure, self-confidence, beautiful kids. You're beautiful grandchildren. You're beautiful people. But I'm going on and on and on and on and on because I just like talking to you. I love that I'm into the whole true crime. I love that I've gotten a few personal messages from people at my email. Please send me a message and just say hi. My name is Kat. Feel free to call me Kat. I would like to know what stories you follow, what stories you want to see on here, what more you like on this, what you don't like on this. Anyways, with that, I will bid you adieu, and I will talk to you later on, and you have a very great evening. Let me find my way back here. I have so many windows open. Okay, have a good evening, guys. Take care.